So, today's video, we are going to be discussing how to kind of get started figuring out the market that you're going to market in, and the kinds of people that you'll be serving in those markets. Now, remember, yesterday we talked about inventorying your skills, inventorying your passions, your interests, and your knowledge. So the purpose of today's video, really, is to kind of now we're going to go a little bit deeper and explore the market where we might be able to leverage those knowledge, skills, or abilities. So here is basically where we're at right now. So we've done our skills inventory here, and if you haven't gone and done that exercise, there was a template attached, a downloadable template you could use, or you could just create your own. But it's important to get an idea of what your skills, your knowledge, your passions, and your interests are, because what that's going to basically do is it's really going to impact what market you decide to go to. Now, some people might say that this is kind of what a lot of them will do. They'll find a product or some kind of an offer over here. They see it maybe on Facebook or maybe while they're Googling stuff, and they see something shiny. I'm going to put little sparkles here, whatever, asterisks over here. And they see this and it looks really attractive, and they think people would buy this. So they start with the product first. And then from the product, they go like this. They go to the promotion activities, the marketing, so to speak. And then, maybe kind of as an afterthought, then they start thinking about the people that this product would be good for. And this is completely backwards. You're trying to fit this product to these people, but you don't even know who these people are. You don't know if they want this product. You might say, okay, well, if I do some Google ads and I use keyword targeting, that I should find the right people. But that's not really how it works. You see, the keywords just will show you what people's search intent is, but not really what their true motivations or their true intent is. For example, let's say that I was Googling bread recipes, right? Bread recipes, and your product was some kind of high-end bread. High-end bread. That is going to bug me. I'm going to use the eraser and get rid of that. High-end bread. Sorry, I'm got a little bit of compulsiveness. So you're searching. Here's your keyword. You're searching for this, and this may be a keyword. They may just pull a list of keywords, and that maybe bread recipes has low competition. So they're taking this keyword, which may include bread recipes, and they're plugging it into their ad campaign, and that ad campaign is is then serving that ad in front of you. Well, you're not looking for high-end bread. You're looking for recipes. You're looking to make the bread. Your intent, most likely with this term, your intent is to make bread, not buy it. Okay? So then you serve this ad in front of, this ad regarding this product in front of me, and what do? What most people do. Ignore it. Because I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for this. So, starting with the people that you want to serve, if you think about who you would want to serve, if you were in the bread market, let's just use that as an example, you would start by understanding what things I would be looking for, what things I want. And you wouldn't be using such broad terms as bread recipe simply because the competition is low. Now, I may be interested in this, I might think this is neat, but I didn't come to this search term with this intent in mind. So in marketing, it's about right sizing the people to the offer by understanding their needs and wants. So you didn't understand my need or my want. Even though the term was related, this didn't speak to my intent for searching the internet. So I'm going to ignore your campaign and I'm going to look for what I want to look for. Now, a better strategy would have been to start here with people. Let's just say you want to serve people who like bread. And then you kind of brainstorm. You do a little research. Okay, people who like bread, what are some things they might want? And then you start listing the stuff off. They might want recipes because they like bread. Or they might want a bread maker. And yes, maybe they do want high-end bread. So who like bread, you start looking at ideas here that are right-sized to this. But this is very specific. Now, you can get away with this if you're able to provide a product that, let's just say that, instead of selling high-end bread, you were giving away some kind of a free gift that said, high-end bread recipes. Now we're kind of getting there. But you would have done your research on the front end, understood your audience, and then said, okay, well, I want to market high-end bread. And one of the ways I'm going to market that is I'm going to offer some kind of value product, and this is what it's going to be. Now, this may not appeal to everyone because some people don't want to make their own bread. But now you are serving content to people who want something that, in this case, they want to make their own bread. And maybe this will be more attractive. Maybe they didn't have this in mind. When they came, maybe they just wanted to know how to make plain white bread, but now they see high-end bread recipes and they're like, ooh, I can make high-end bread. Ooh, that's better than regular white. So this is just a general example of how this works. Now, we did our skills inventory, and you listed off your skills. And now, what you need to do is you need to then organize those skills into, most desirable or most interesting or something you think you would be most passionate about marketing to least. And then we're going to start and we're going to go down that list. Okay? And the reason we're starting here is even if it's a generic skill, like let's say the skill is, let's just go back to the job example. Let's say that your number one skill has to do with something you do at your job. And let's say that that skill is, we're going to go to our other example, Microsoft Office. And now we can start to do a little research on Microsoft Office. What kind of demand is there for this particular job skill? And then, of course, we break down Microsoft Office into the various products, Excel, Word, Outlook, etc. And then from there, we kind of look at maybe where people might be struggling. Now, I can guarantee you, if you know anything about Microsoft Word, that Excel is probably going to be where people struggle a lot, because Excel is a very powerful data analysis, data collecting spreadsheet with a lot of formulas and a lot of functions. So this one is something people will struggle with. Word is a processor, and yes, it has some complications, as does Outlook and Atlas. As does any of the Word Office products. But if we look, we're probably going to see the most amount of interest and greatest amount of learning curve with Microsoft Excel. So let's just say that we're going to look at the Microsoft Office niche, and we're going to drill down and look at the Microsoft Excel, technically a sub niche, even though it would be more specific to the Microsoft Office niche, maybe not so small as to be its own sub niche, but this is a segment of this. So in that sense, yes, it could be considered a sub niche. And remember, in marketing, you don't want to try to target things that are super broad. Now this Microsoft Office could be a sub niche of something even bigger. It could be the software niche, or it could be the Office skills niche, or something like that. It could be part of something bigger, but for the purpose of this example, we're going to look at our first number one skill that we know, which is the Microsoft Office, and then we're going to sit there and say, okay, which one do we think is the most difficult? What are people struggling with? And I guarantee you this is probably going to be at the top of the list. So let's take a look and see if people are actually interested in this topic. Sorry, I gotta turn this off. There we go. All right, so now we're going to look at Microsoft Office help, something like that. We're just going to do Microsoft Office help. And, we have, Microsoft put their help and training up here at the top, and all of these are going to be. So Microsoft has definitely dominated these search results. So let's see if we can drill down a little bit more. Here we go. We're seeing some YouTube videos here, or some kind of videos here. Microsoft how to cancel virus scan, technical support, how to resume Wizard, Microsoft Word. So first off, it would help if I had our search term right. And I could tell that was wrong because I was looking at these results going, these don't look right. So Excel functions. So this is its own site. So this is Microsoft sites, and this is actually a separate site. This is Excel functions. So Excel functions, something that a lot of people would probably struggle with. So let's see what this site is. Let's see what this site is saying. What are they positioning in front of people? And you look here, and it's showing all these different things that have to do with Microsoft Excel. Tips and tricks, common errors, accounting, pivot tables, another difficult one. Macros, that's VBA, Visual Basic. I mean, this one right here, learning how to program, do some coding within Excel. That right there would be a good one. So you see that there is definitely a lot of options within Excel. So if you were going to focus on doing the Excel sub niche, you can look and see right here on this is the third page on the results, that there are definitely a lot of things you could make content around. And if you know Excel at all, you know that these are things that probably people would struggle with. Over here, popular searches, VLOOKUP example. These are different functions, sum if. VBA VLOOKUP, so these are like the coding functions and things like that. I mean, there's just a lot in here, and this is just, like I said, the first result we pulled up. So what you're doing now, we're going to come back over to our white sheet here. I'm going to load a new one. And so what we're doing now is we're cultivating ideas. And I'm actually going to close this one because I think we're done with it. Okay. So we're cultivating ideas. We come back over to here and we start looking and say, okay, so if we're going to be going for Excel, and that's going to be our sub niche that we work on. Oops. Come on, work. Oh, I put it into this. There we go. Sorry, I'm still getting familiarized with this writing pad. So if we're doing Excel as our sub niche, now we start to look at things we can provide value content. What are people struggling with? What would you struggle with? What did you first struggle with? Well, a lot of people, I can guarantee you, are going to struggle with the formulas and the functions in Excel. A lot of people are going to struggle with, I can guarantee you they're going to struggle with VBA, programming macros. We come back over here. Let's just take a look and see what what they're positioning. And this isn't the only place we're going to look. I'm just showing you here. This will give you some ideas. Array formulas. There's all kinds of stuff just on this page, and we'll bounce to another page and we'll take a look there. And then it shows you some of the things that they provide. What kind of value can we provide? We'll talk about the format of the content. What kind of format can we put our value into? Well, this one is said that they gave you some templates. So maybe you have some templates you can make up. Tutorials showing how to do some of these things. You could whip up an ebook or some kind of a report that helps you to position this information in front of people. You could create a Facebook group where people who come who need help with Excel, and then you as an expert, and other experts within that group then provide them with help, and then you're providing them value. All right, let's take another page. I don't want to linger too long on this page here. And you see this page here, they provide all this information, and they're number 3. I mean, they're actually doing better than some of Microsoft's pages. And you see all the value that the site provides, all of the free resources. So, and then you see some videos here, how to use Microsoft Excel, help, statistics, Visual Basic. See, look at that, Visual Basic. You see a lot here. Contact us, so more Office Microsoft links here. Just keep going. And then let's do this. Let's do Excel forum, and let's see what people are talking about in the forum. Now, you should, I should have said this before, you should be kind of following along. If you have a term that, or a keyword or something that you're considering, you just, instead of plugging in Excel, just plug in your term. And, as I'm going through the page, just look for the things I'm looking for, the same kinds of things. What are people putting on their web pages? What kind of value are they positioning? So excelforum.com, this, Microsoft Excel has an entire forum right here. And let's take a look here at some of the topics. Excel programming and macros, formulas and functions, charts and pivots. More content right there on the front page. Charts and tables. And Excel for other platforms. Not everybody uses Microsoft. Microsoft does make their programs available on other operating systems and other platforms. And so, there's already some ideas right here. And what you'll do is you'll create a list of potential value that you can create. Is there a magic number for how many of these you should have? There really isn't. For me, I like to start with about 20 things. This gives me a nice, decent amount of topics that I can cover, I can make videos about, I can do tutorials of, I can write some ebooks or some reports, or I can create a Facebook group which covers all of this. One of the best ways I see people doing this is they'll create a Facebook group, and they'll also create this content here. They'll provide content in the Facebook group, and then they'll also direct their members to this content here. Because with this content, what you can do is you can then position value here with like an opt-in funnel, or opt-in page, excuse me, and then guide them to upsell stuff, upsell products, maybe whether you're doing affiliate or whatever. But you provide value on the front end here. You say, okay, you can get my templates, just opt in here. Oh, if you want our premium super deluxe awesome templates, it's going to cost you, and usually with these kinds of upsells, you might see anywhere from $7 to $47, something like that. It's your upsell, and then you might then take them to a, this is a real simple one, and then you take them to a like a download page or something like that. You give them their product, their free stuff instantly. If they purchase the upsell, you'll you'll not only give them the free stuff here, but you'll take them where they can access their product here. Okay, so you can use your Facebook group, provide lots of help and lots of value here, and then there's nothing wrong with then saying, you know what, if you guys want to get a hold of my templates, then feel free to opt in my list. Grab those templates here. If you want to be really like a true baller marketer for say, you'll be completely transparent. You'll say, look, here's the deal. If you want these templates, you can go to this page here. You will need to opt in. Some people might not know what that means, so you'll need an email address. I'm going to add you to my newsletter, and that's another way you can add value. Newsletter through a newsletter, and each couple of days you'll send out an email providing them with some additional information. So this is a way to not only provide value, but every so many emails you can position some kind of an offer. You can say, look, we're having there's a 50% off special or whatever, one time OTO. In the world of marketing, that means one time offer. So you can see, you start to form the framework, because here's all we're doing. We're taking our skill that we originally discovered, or not discovered, but we identified. We then took a subset of that skill. So our main skill was Microsoft Office related to our job. Then for Microsoft Office, we decided to look at the most difficult aspect of Microsoft Office, the thing that people struggle with. And this is another key point in marketing. You look at the things people are struggling with, the problems. Your job as an entrepreneur is to solve problems, to help make people's lives easier, to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. That is the actual key point of marketing. Very important. In the book, This is Marketing by Seth Godin, he talks about that, and that book's great too. So now we've taken our subterm, our subset of Excel. We've done Google search, and like I said, you might have to try different terms. You might do Excel help, and then you might take one of these and you might actually plug that in. Excel formulas into Google, and you might see what pops up under this term, and you might do Excel VBA, and you'll see what pops up, and this will give you even more ideas, even more specific things within these things. Now what you're doing is you're building your content list. You're creating a list of content you can create. You may not be able to cover everything that has to do with Visual Basic in a single Excel video. You might have to do an entire series on this. So when people say, I don't know what kind of content I can create, start with something, start with a singular term, break it down, and then break those terms down even further. And I guarantee you, this number, 20 topics or 20 pieces of content, you're gonna have way more than that. You're gonna pass 20. You can fill a piece of paper, and you're gonna have to stop yourself, because you'll find so many ideas. And then what you might do is you might look at each of these particular formats and say, okay, charts and tables, I can make a video, platforms, maybe I can write an ebook on that. And you kind of identify what mode of delivery you would use for each of these. And now you start having a content planning. Now you're creating your content planning. And then from there, the next step after that is, once you have your content, once you have the method that you're going to deliver the content, then you would just organize it in order of what you want to present first. You just say, okay, well, first I'm going to do formulas, because that's a common one. And maybe you would go to the next common thing, which might be charts and tables. And the next thing might be, macros. And maybe that, and maybe VBA would be next. So you organize it, and you create what's called a content calendar. And what you can do with this content calendar is each day, or as often as you can, you would schedule this stuff in. You just basically go down your list, and you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to create a video on formulas. And then you cross that off your list, or you check that off, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to write my 5-page report on charts, or I'm going to do a video on it. I might create a podcast for how to do macros. But a lot of this stuff, especially when it's Excel, you're probably going to want to do something more visual, like an ebook or video or something like like that, or even a live training on your Facebook group. You know, maybe for Visual Basic, we're going to do a live training on Facebook, you know. So you start to, you know, and we're going to do that on, you know, Friday or something. And you go down your list, you check off each piece of content you're doing, and you know, as you plug it into your calendar and as you do it. Now you've got the basis, not only of establishing yourself as an expert, but potentially as creating a product, a paid product. You might say, okay, here's my opt-in. I'm going to give away, you know, I'm going to give away a video on formulas, and that's going to be my free gift. I'm sorry if this is getting cluttered, but you know, if you're paying attention, you should be able to keep track. So, free gift. I'm going to give them my video on formulas. My upsell is going to be, you know, these advanced videos. It's going to be the entire course. I'm going to give them all this course. Now, you know, or some advanced course or something like that. Or you're going to create a product based around this. So now you're creating a product. So you're providing value at each of these things. You're providing it to this audience here, the Excel audience, in a number of different formats. And now you have, like I said, you have a list 20 or more longer, plugged into a calendar, organized, and now you're pushing out content every day. You're going to establish yourself as an expert, somebody who can be dependable. And then you're going to position that content, like I said, if you're doing a Facebook group, what the strategy you'll use there is you'll go and join groups where they have, you know, where they're doing similar things. There might be other Excel groups. You know, if you have a unique position for what you're providing, maybe your whole thing is you're doing Excel for the true beginner. Maybe these groups over here are, you know, maybe they're more for people who are intermediate or something like that. So you might go in and introduce yourself, provide value in these advanced groups, and then you know, let them know, hey, look, I have a group for real beginners. Some of the stuff we talk about in these intermediate groups might go over a lot of people's heads, you know. So if any of you know people that want to kind of start with something a little bit, you know, less complicated, you know, I have this group. And then maybe other people will start pushing things. And people do that. People recommend people's groups. I've seen this. If you provide value and it's right sized to an audience, and you are providing value in, you know, like I say, in this intermediate Facebook group, you're helping people. Maybe you're an advanced Excel user. You're in an intermediate group. Now you're providing value and giving people tips and advanced strategies. And you're like, oh, hey, look, you all are intermediate, but I'd like somebody, you know, I'd like to help people who are beginners, and that's kind of what my Facebook group's all about. You feel free to join because I'm going to need people to, you know, be subject matter experts. Now you're providing value to them by telling them that they're a subject matter expert. They can help you provide value to people who need help. Makes them feel a little bit more important. And then they get into your Facebook group. They help you manage your Facebook group. And as it grows, you're going to need people to help you. You won't be able to moderate tens of thousands of people. And so they can help you with that. And now you have people who are subject matter experts and moderators who feel, you know, they feel a little bit important because now they are helping with something bigger than themselves. So at every turn, you can provide value. So now that we've got an idea for our value content, and I'm really kind of honing in on the value content aspect of all of this, because this right here, once you can get consistent with creating valuable content that people need and want to solve problems, you identify the problems here. You look at these terms, these topics. If they're putting a topic here, that means that those things are of particular interest to people. I mean, there's only there's only a handful of topics here on this forum. This is just the general, but if you look, these got their own topics. This means that these are high-level stuff that people probably want information on. Forums are a great place to get an idea of what people are looking for and the kinds of problems that people have. Use forums. Live in forums. Anywhere you go on the internet, leave some kind of positive presence. If you go to a forum, sign up for the forum. Look through the threads. If you see a question no one's answered, drop in. If you can answer it, throw an answer down. If it's good, valuable content. Get your name out there in every opportunity. People will start to know and respect you and trust you, your name, and your brand. So this looks like a lot of stuff. But at the high level, all we did was break down one of our skills, broke it down even further, and then found some topics within this term here that people might be interested in seeing content for. Then we just decided on how we were going to format that content. We organized the content in what order we were going to present it, and then we created a content calendar. You can create a content calendar very simple. If you just go into, you could literally just pull up a calendar, and just write in, on, let's pretend that this is a calendar here. And you all know what a calendar is. I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I'm just showing you how it would work. But let's say this is your calendar, and it's really going to be not to scale. This is your calendar. And let's say, okay, so on the first, I'm going to do formula video. On the second, I'm going to do VBA. On the third, I'm going to do charts, and you create your calendar and you plot in your content. Just use a simple calendar, or use funny enough, use an Excel spreadsheet. Create an Excel spreadsheet. And what I'll probably end up doing is, if I have something in my arsenal of, if I have something ready made up that I can make into a template, I will just post this up here. But you could create an Excel spreadsheet. At the top you'll have, you might have your topics here, and these columns up here, topics, and then maybe you'll have your your dates right here, and you'll say, okay, on this day I'm going to do this and this and this, or maybe even simpler. Just do something like this. Just put your date here, and then just in the cells, just put your content here. If this is the first, put whatever your content is. If this is the second, put whatever your content is. If this is the third, and so on and so forth. And what you're going to do, you're going to keep this will keep a running tab of everything that you've covered. And then what you can do in the future is you can kind of poll your audience. You can ask them, okay, are there any topics you guys would want me to expand on? And if they say something you've already covered, you can go back to that topic, pull up the content for it, look over it, and see, okay, what did I miss? What could I add? Or rely on your audience to provide you with what you missed. And then you can create another piece of content that builds upon what you've already done. So this is kind of how you would get started. You're starting to get an idea of what your audience looks like, what they're looking for. Now remember, this is real general term. Now, if we're going to go a little bit deeper, we need to also understand our audience themselves. We're going to create what's called a customer avatar. So, what I like to do when I create my avatar, and I actually will be posting up an avatar template you can use. But if our keyword or our topic is Excel, we want to look at the people who are using Excel, who would benefit from the products and content we provide that has to do with Excel. And when we say customer avatar, what are we talking about? Basically, what we're doing is we're creating a personification of our ideal customer. This is the kind of person that, first off, we would want to work with. And second off, they're the type of person who wants what we have. So the customer avatar, how it works is you have to do a little bit of research. If you're going through the forums, you're going to quickly find out what people's problems are. So one aspect of the customer avatar is what kinds of problems are they having as it relates to Excel. What are their pain points, as another word for this? What causes them to struggle? And we're also going to understand, what kinds of occupation they might have. People are using Excel. People use Excel for all kinds of things. We see a lot of those in the office administration. But who else uses Excel? Analysts, bookkeepers. I mean, there's all kinds of people that use Excel. It's not just office people. Analysts use it to keep data organized. Bookkeepers use it to put financial data into, and there's probably a lot more. So for you, whatever your focus or content topic is, you're going to want to break down problems. You're going to want to break down occupation. Is there a specific age group that this term would be more appropriate to? If your interest or hobby is something to do with, like, say, skateboarding, that might be a factor here. Maybe people who are 90 aren't going to be a good fit for something like skateboarding. But for something like Excel, the age group could be anyone, say, from 18 up to, let's just say like 80 or something. Probably going to be a little bit lower on this end here, because there are less people technologically savvy. So you may find that it could be maybe 65 or something like that. That's your age group. And there's a cool tool I'm going to show you here in a second, actually, that you can use to get some of this information. And it's called Facebook Audience Insights, and I'll actually show you what it looks like, and then you can use it for yourself. You can see which people is it more likely to be male or female. That's going to determine, because if you're doing like paid advertising, you need to know. It's going to have you kind of narrow down your target demographic. This information we're looking at is called demographic information. And again, you'll see a lot of this in Audience Insights. Are they married, unmarried? Some of this information isn't really relevant as far as the actual marketing itself, but it may change how you speak to your audience. And really the whole point of it is to create a personification of your ideal customer. It's not just a list of attributes and interests and things like that anymore. We're trying to build a person. We're trying to take what we know for our target audience and to create a single individual that we can speak to. So when we're writing our opt-in page, we're writing it to this person, not to all these people. We're not writing it to a giant audience of people. We're writing it to one person. When we write our emails, same thing. We're writing it to one person. People don't like to feel like they're being sold to in a crowd. They want to feel like it's them and all about them. And that's just a simple part of life, of marketing. So, and I'm going to show you that tool right now, but you get the idea. Some of these things we're going to cover, and it'll be in the customer avatar template I'm going to provide. But what you're going to do is you're going to do research. You're going to understand, first off, the you're connecting your skills to your audience. You already know that there's an audience of people who are interested in Excel. You already know that exists. And you know that there are people who are providing content and value, and you've drawn ideas from that. So now we want to look at the people individually. Instead of looking at them collectively, we want to get an idea of who they are. So let's go into Facebook Audience Insights. We're going to come here, and this is oh, look at that. You all get to see my personal page. Look at you. And we're going to come here to Facebook Business Manager. To get here, all we do is go to business.facebook.com. You can see the link is right here, business.facebook.com. If you haven't set up your Facebook business account, I would highly recommend it. It's very easy to do. It's not super hard. And I will get a video up regarding how to do some of these things in Facebook. But for the sake of this, I just want you to see what this looks like. And then we're going to go to Audience Insights. So here on the left-hand side, we click here, this drop-down, under Plan, Audience Insights. And this is a very cool tool. You're going to start with everyone on Facebook. And now it gives you a lot of information. This information right here correlates to everybody on Facebook. We haven't narrowed it down as far as in the United States, not globally. We haven't narrowed it down by putting any kinds of specific terms to limit this audience. This is just everybody in the United States on Facebook, and this is the demographic breakdown. 54% of people on Facebook are women, 46% are men. We see a majority of them are married, college educated. Their jobs, biggest one here, administrative services. Second one is sales, management, and so on. So remember when we were filling out that sheet here about our demographic information. Well, now we can come back over here and we can get a lot of this information right here. Our age group, if we wanted to limit the age group to the 65 that we had discussed, you just come to this little drop down here. Just put 65. It'll show you the, it'll update the demographic information. It hasn't changed really. And let's come over here to interests and let's see, who on Facebook is interested in Microsoft Excel. Let's take a look. And now look at this. We just put in Microsoft Excel as in an interest. We left our age group and everything the same. And look at this. 55% are people interested in Excel are women. So now you come over here to your gender and you might jot down female. So your avatar might be a female character. And I'm going to do a butcher's job of doing this, and I apologize in advance if anyone gets upset by this. Okay? Female. Some people get put off by this. They're like, why are we segmenting by, race? We're not by race. We're not doing that. You'll see Facebook doesn't have that option. But by gender, that's offensive, isn't it? Well, not really. What you're doing is you're making sure that you are positioning your value, your content, your product in front of the right audience. You are adding value, because if you're positioning in front of people who aren't interested, you're just wasting space on their Facebook timeline or their Google search results, and you're not positioning any kind of value. So it's not, you have to also think of the mindset of it. I didn't go in there and say, oh, girls are icky, I don't want them, or guys are icky, or whatever the case may be, and cross them off and say, even though the data says that more girls than guys, I still want more guys, I still want to promote to guys instead of girls because I don't, whatever, I gotta be politically correct here. I looked at the data and said, this is what the data shows. I'm going to make a completely unbiased decision, no emotion whatsoever, and I'm going to say, this is most likely going to be my target audience. Now, it's not too far off. 45%, 55% isn't a huge range. So you might be able to put both and promote to both. Or you might write both predominantly women. And that tells you that even though both were pretty well represented, that the percentages were more in favor of women being more interested in Excel as a search term. It's all based in the United States within the same age range. Now let's talk, let's see if we can narrow this down even more. Let's see if there's another term with Microsoft Excel, if I could spell right. No, I think that might be the only thing. So we might look for data processing. Nope. Data analysis. Because it's used for data analysis. And we see that the percentage actually went down a little bit. 53, 47, still definitely a margin here. Now, one thing to bear in mind here is it's looking at information as it relates to both of these terms. Both of these criterions here are being included in this data. So it's not just Microsoft Excel, it's data analysis, and it's taking these two terms and saying, okay, with these two terms and these other qualifiers here, this is the data. And as you can see, not much has changed. A little bit of an increase in marriage, college, a little bit paste there. So you see that not much of a change there. Okay? And you can see the kinds of pages that the people in this categories like. What are their pages that they like? This will help us show what kinds of interests and hobbies they have, so that we can come over to our avatar here and we can put what are their interests and their hobbies. What do they like to do? We can come over here and we can get an idea. They like Dollar Shave Club. People like to save money on razors. They like to buy furniture. They like public broadcasting. So, they have an affinity for these, certain government officials. They like to do home improvement. They like to go to the movies. They are interested in fitness. So it's giving us ideas. Now, these aren't things we are necessarily we're not going to make a list and say, okay, well, my next project I'm going to do Dollar Shave Club affiliate, and then I'm going to promote for IKEA. No, we're making ourselves more relatable. We're looking at things that they're interested in, so that when we write our content, we can relate stuff. We can relate some of these things to them. We can give examples. We can tell a story and say, learning Excel is a little bit like going through an IKEA. I got lost in there and confused with the layout of the store, and even though I love the furniture, I just couldn't figure it out. Same with Excel. I love Excel, but it's just a difficult. You can connect. So, very important, and that's why we're looking at these interests. You might write some of these down. You might say, okay, they're interested in Dollar Shave Club. They're interested in IKEA. They're interested in public broadcasting. They're interested in Groupon. And look at what these things are telling us about this audience as well. They're interested in weird history. What do some of these things tell us? For me, right off the bat, I see a couple of similarities right here. Right there, this tells me that this group of people wants to save money. Right there. Because what are we looking at here? Dollar Shave Club, that's a value shave box. IKEA, they sell value furniture. Groupon is all about getting good deals. So they like to save money. So that's another thing, another characteristic. We can put here a characteristic. We're analyzing our audience to understand them more. Characteristics. They like to save money. This is useful for our marketing because we know that they're value-minded. They want value. So when we are promoting products to them, solutions, we need to be mindful that these people are looking to save money. So we need to make sure we emphasize the value of what they're getting and emphasize the fact that they're getting it at a lower price than they would have otherwise. You see where this is going? We've taken an inventory of our skills. We've narrowed it down to one particular thing. We've created a content schedule for that thing. And now we're looking at our audience, because we're looking at how we're going to speak to our audience and address that. And we look at their pain points and their specific pain points because we want to be able to empathize with them. Let's say that one of their pain points is that they are constantly busy. They don't have very much time. So maybe when you're creating your content, what you do is you say, look, I've got this real short 5-minute tutorial. It's going to show you how to do this thing really fast. I know your time's valuable, that's why I made it really short. Boom. We've taken a pain point, we've addressed it, and we're providing value. See what I did there? Pretty neat stuff, right? So we're building our customer avatar. We're getting a depiction of them. Once we have their interests and characteristics and things mapped out, here's what you're going to want to do. Go on Google, find a picture of somebody who represents that. And this picture, it needs to be a depiction of them. So Google picture, if it's a predominantly female person, you might find a picture of a female. If you're marketing to an audience that's both male and female, you might find two pictures of a male and a female. But create a picture, go look, Google, look through images, or maybe your ideal person is someone like you, so use yourself. I wouldn't recommend it because then it seems a little narcissistic in my opinion. You find a picture and you give them a name. You're creating a person here, not just a list of information. So you have a picture, you have a name. Let's just say Sally, because the first thing that came to mind. So our customer avatar, her name is Sally. She's predominantly 18 to 65. For this, we might just kind of split it and say Sally is a 35-year-old office administrator who is currently, in this case, we saw a majority of married, so who's currently married, interested in these things, which tells me this thing, and there's going to be more. I'm just giving you kind of a high level. And here's a picture of Sally, right here. This is what my person looks like. So when I write my opt-in pages, they're for Sally. When I write my emails, they're for Sally. They're not for this big audience. They're just for this one person, this one 35-year-old woman named Sally. Okay? So I will link, or I will put a copy of the customer avatar template that I use. I will put a link in that for that, so you can download that and use that. Facebook Audience Insights, business.facebook.com, left-hand side under Plan, right here, this drop down, Audience Insights. This is an amazing tool to use. It's going to give you a lot of information. You will look at this and be scared at how much Facebook knows about us. But this is really great for people who are trying to really right-size their audience, get it just dialed in. Okay? So that's it for now. So go do your homework assignments, fill out your avatar. I will see about a content calendar if I have something that would work. I should have something I use. I write everything on a piece of paper. I'm really old school, but if I have a digital template, I'll throw that in there as well. And then use the customer avatar template to fill out your customer avatar and use this. So again, take one of your skills, your top one, break it down, Google search it, see what people are interested in regarding that skill, look at the forums, look at the search results. If it's like something, if it's something related to a brand, try to stay away from things on, information on that brand. Try to find pages about that. Try to find what other people are writing about that brand or that particular thing, that topic. Look at Excel. We didn't go to any of Microsoft's pages. I don't want to see what Microsoft had to say about itself. I want to see what other people have to say about that particular product. So, go through the exercises if you have to rewatch this video, but go through these exercises, get that done, and we'll move on to the next step of all this. All right, have a good one.